Hammond City Council, public hearing agenda, March 10th, 2026, 5:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Present.
Councilman Divatario.
Here.
Councilman Leon.
Present.
Councilman Andrews.
Present.
Councilman Wells.
Public hearing item number 1.
You have the right pages? I'm missing my top page. An ordinance request by Raquel Collins for a variance to open a daycare facility at 101 El Ida Drive, Unit A in District 4. Charles Barsher.
As the council will recall, there was a moratorium passed on group housing, which also included daycare facilities. That moratorium prevented the city from processing any requests for a daycare once the moratorium went into effect. Ms. Collins had started the process, but it had not been completed yet, so we had to pause that process. The moratorium does allow for a variance for someone to request a variance for a daycare, so that's what Ms. Collins did. So she is coming to the council asking for permission from the council to open her daycare. Frankie's here. I think Ms. Collins is also here if there are any questions.
Anybody have any questions or concerns on this item? Okay. Number 2.
An ordinance request by Regina Showers Gordon for a variance to open a daycare facility at 1809 and 1901 North Morrison Boulevard in District 5. Charles?
Similar to the previous one, Ms. Showers Gordon is requesting a variance to open a daycare on Morrison Boulevard. Again, Frankie's here, and I believe Ms. Showers Gordon is here as well if there are any questions.
Anyone have any questions or concerns on this item?
I have a question. It's not about the applicant. I have absolutely no problem with it. This is because there's a 365-day moratorium on group housing we passed in November, that was passed in November, I'm sorry, December. My understanding, the purpose of a moratorium is to do the work to change the rules that need, addressing an issue. And I'm just curious if we've had any changes or updates, or if anybody's given any input to what the city had already proposed and what we had reviewed multiple times before we even passed the moratorium. So, no changes, so nothing's been done? Okay.
Number 3.
An ordinance to update the Unified Development Code, UDC, by the city planner regarding definitions and uses. Frankie will go.
I'm going to ask Frankie to stand up for this one.
This is involving changes to definitions to take some of the requirements out and put them in the regular part of the ordinance. I will tell you that 2 sentences were left off the definition of a restaurant, and they are, the use must comply with section 6.3.10, which is the specific uses. City approval of the restaurants will not automatically include approval of a separate bar or lounge areas within those restaurants. So other than that,
So Frankie,
the other is...
Sorry, the second sentence is there. The first sentence, will you say again? What is missing?
It is to the restaurant, the change to a restaurant. It refers you to the section of specific uses that the other ones in front of it do. And also, we added that it does not automatically allow them to sell alcohol.
Frankie, I think what
Ms.
Councilwoman Gonzalez is asking, which section, could you repeat the section number? The section.
The section, it's under, that's under definitions, but the section is 6.3.10 that it will, of the specific uses.
Right. So as I think you pointed out, Councilwoman, the second part of the original language has been now moved in front. So what's currently before the council does read, city approval of restaurants will not automatically include approval of separate bar lounge areas within those restaurants. The sentence with the section now comes after that at the end. This use must comply with the section she mentioned.
Oh, I misunderstood. I thought she was saying that something was missing from what we need to pass.
I think what happened was someone made the decision to put the section number at the bottom just to make it easier to find.
Okay.
And we lost the section number. So all we need to add is the section number.
Anybody else have any questions or concerns on this item? Thank you. Hammond City Council regular session agenda, March 10th, 2026, 5:35. Roll call, please.
Councilman Divatario.
Here.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Present.
Councilman Andrews.
Present.
Councilman Leon.
Present.
Councilman Wells.
At this time, I'm going to ask Superintendent Cox if he would please come up and give us our opening prayer.
Father, we thank you for this moment. We thank you for this hour. We thank you, God, for what you are doing and what you're going to do. We ask now in the name of Jesus, God, that you will allow minds to be drawn in, and God, courage will be made. God, we thank you and we praise you now for these, your people. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. At this time, I ask that all veterans and active military please render the proper salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'll ask for approval of our February 24, 2026 meeting minutes, please.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
At this time, we had it on our agenda to do presentations. I'm going to pass that at this moment and go ahead into our final adoption of ordinance. No, she's not here.
Oh, she's not?
Yeah, I was about to, yeah. From Gulf Coast Services called and said that she would not be able to make it. So we're going to go ahead and pass the presentations at this moment and come back to it later in the agenda. Final adoption of ordinance number 1.
Final adoption of an ordinance request by Raquel Collins for a variance to open a daycare facility at 101 Elida Drive, Unit A, District 4.
The city's asking for the council's consideration and approval.
Okay. Ms. Collins, is there anything you would like to say? All right. Anyone from the public have any questions or concerns on this item? Anyone from the council? Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Good luck with your daycare.
Yeah.
And the lady in the front did a really good job cleaning that little commercial facility up. So, yeah. Yep. So hopefully everything goes well over there. Thank you.
Final adoption of ordinance number 2.
Final adoption of an ordinance request by Regina Showers Gordon for a variance to open a daycare facility at 1809 and 1901 North Morrison Boulevard in District 3.
I think it's District 5. Again,
District 5.
it's the time zone change, right? Or the time change. Again, the council's asking for, the administration, is asking for the council's consideration and approval.
Okay. Anyone from the public have any questions or concerns on this item? Mr. Gordon, would you like to make a statement or not? No, sir. All right. Anyone from the council have any other questions? Pleasure of the council?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Aye. All right.
Good luck.
Yes, ma'am. Good luck. Number 3.
Final adoption of an ordinance to update the Unified Development Code, UDC, by the city planner regarding definitions and uses. Thank you.
The city's asking for the council's consideration approval, again, with the addition of that section number that was missing.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or concerns on this item? Anyone from the council? Pleasure of the council? I make a motion to approve.
Second.
That's with adding the section 6.3.10 to the end of the definition of restaurant. We'll
Yes.
make that note for the minutes.
Who was the second one? You. Councilwoman Gonzalez,
Aye.
Councilman Andrews,
Aye.
Councilman Divatario,
Aye.
Councilman Wells,
Abstain.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
Introduction of ordinance number 1.
Introduction of an ordinance to correct ordinance number 26-5790 regarding rezoning of 803, 807, and 809 South Oak Street. Frankie Legault.
Before Frankie gets up to explain this, I'll just quickly add that we inadvertently captured some addresses. The addresses on that block are a little bit out of order, and so we captured some addresses that should not have been included. In speaking with the city attorney, the cleanest way to solve this is just to pass this ordinance. It's introduced tonight, but passing the ordinance would move these addresses from the previously approved ordinance. Frankie wants to get up and...
You may not be able to see all this, but what was included, there are 3 lots along here that were included that should have not have been included in the ordinance because it's not part of that the medical center that's going to go there. So,
So that's the one from last.
And it was properly pictured, the picture in the attachment was just that property. We just incorrectly added, I know what you, right.
These two, these are the ones that should have been included, but inadvertently, the addresses of these 3 lots were included in
Right.
in the ordinance and the request.
So again, this is just the introduction tonight. If introduced, we would have a public hearing on this in the next council meeting.
All right, thank you, Mr. Frankie. Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Introduce.
Introduce, I'm sorry.
Second.
Councilman Andrews,
Aye.
Councilman Wells. Councilwoman Gonzalez,
Aye.
Councilman Leon,
Aye.
and Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Introduction number 2.
Excuse me. Introduction of an ordinance to approve a major subdivision on Hewitt Road in District 3. The Planning and Zoning Commission, hearing no opposition, recommends adoption 4-0. Charles Marshall.
I'm going to ask Frankie to step up and speak about this one. Again, this is just the introduction.
This subdivision was heard by the Planning Commission, and they recommended approval. It's to consist of 20 lots, but the major access will be off of J.W. Davis. Sorry about that. But there will be 20 lots, and it's going to be cul-de-sacs at the end of each one, as you can see. There was no one in opposition at the Planning Commission to hear what it was. People were concerned about the traffic on Hewitt, but this should not affect the traffic on Hewitt that much because they have Davis. The Davis Road will be the primary exit for that. They're also going to have a detention pond in the lower portion of the lot. The water will drain toward that detention pond. They have submitted, I have all of the letters that went out, but they have submitted their information to engineering, and he has come back with some of the changes that he wants, so we will be monitoring that, once the changes are made.
So I have a question about that, Ms. Frankie, because on this one and the next one, both letters from Spangler Engineering listed a number of things, and it said, we do not recommend. Now, I already talked to Courtney, but I want it to be clear for other people that that was said, you have to
Preliminary.
fix these things, and they have fixed these things, or they're going to fix these
They're
things?
going to submit again. Yes, that was initially, he did not recommend until they did all of the changes that he had recommended. So that will be coming up. And we will not recommend it, we will not move forward with it until those changes are made and we get a revised.
So my question is, why do we move forward with it not done?
because, well, I think what they are looking at is they want to be sure that all of this is, what it would be approved as it's laid out, and that to make all these changes is obviously going to cost a lot of money, so I think they wanted to be sure that they were going to be allowed to have this subdivision here.
So would we introduce it subject to everything listed in the letter, Andre?
Well, certainly before final adoption. You want
Okay.
to be
Right.
sure if you do that, you would do that with conditions, whatever conditions are left undone.
If there are any conditions, if he comes through and match, and they take care of all the conditions, with a second plan, that they show that they've done all the things that the engineering has asked for, then I don't think it would be necessary to have conditions on it if it's a,
We'll just have to see what the
yeah,
condition
they
is.
will
at
We're
the
not-
time of
see what
final
it's
adoption.
approved. Yeah.
We're not approving nothing tonight. I mean, it's introduction, so I mean, you got a whole other
Right.
meeting before we could see it.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they don't do anything, we don't approve it until they
Yeah,
do.
it may come in anytime, we just don't, we have not received it yet, but.
I've never seen this letter where the engineer says, we don't recommend.
Yeah.
And then if people are looking, why would, they're like, what are y'all doing? If the engineer says don't do it, which we should clarify that for people.
Yeah.
Even though this just is the introduction, it's still confusing for anyone
Right.
who's paying attention.
I understand that. That makes sense. Yeah, so, but we would not, obviously, we would not approve it until they meet all those conditions, all of the things that they have to have in their plans that are submitted.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Matthews, I saw your hand.
To further explain the question, typically when the engineer, it has to get to a certain stage in the design before the engineer can weigh in and give his final comments. Most of the time, the final comments are not major items, but are items that has to be done before they can stamp off and say it is complete. By way of introduction, what we're doing tonight, it would typically, in times past, give the developer time to get with the engineer and the engineer time to make those corrections. Sometimes it's a simple thing as you don't have a dimension line correct. That dimension is not correct. Well, we need a copy of your flood study. Well, all that's pretty much been done. They may not have finalized it because they're waiting to see whether or not the city is going to allow them to move forward. And once we introduce it, and they know it's been introduced, they know, hey, we got to hurry up and get this stuff done. And so the planning and zoning can give us a thumbs up to be able to take it to final approval. So that's why you see. And this is something that we've really pressed upon the engineer of record here most recently. In times past, we've had projects to come through, and I'm one of the ones that always ask, has the engineer reviewed the drawings? Have we received comments back? What are the comments saying? So before I recommend anything in planning and zoning, me as one of the commissioners, I want to make sure that the engineer of record has reviewed it, making sure drainage, making sure, all the things that are required by the UDC are being followed and all the restrictions are being followed. So that's one of the reasons why you're seeing a more aggressive letter now
Yeah.
than you've seen in the past, where you're going to see more and more of that in the future. Thank you.
My concern is, if everything is not in order, why would they even present it to you? Did you get it first, President Kip? Because even with the last thing y'all just voted on, everything wasn't together, and they bringing it before you all, and y'all saying it's okay to do it, but it's gonna come back and bite you, so you better be careful. I suggest you be careful. If it's not all in order, don't put it in council, period. That's me.
Afternoon or evening now. My name's Robert Penn. I'm one of the owners of the property. Last meeting when we met before the planning board, my engineer was also here. And so the letter we received, and he made the corrections, and he was waiting for one, I think it was the, something with the flood, before doing that flood study to make sure it would be approved before we expended the money in order to do that final stage. But everything else that was noted was already completed.
Perfect.
Business Square, and I just want to say I'm one of the owners as well. Just wanted to introduce you all.
Is it time yet? Can I talk? Is that okay? All right. Megan, 408 Hewitt Road. My first question is this the first time it's being introduced? Because on that document, it says February 24th was the first time it was introduced, and I did not see it on that council agenda. So is this really the first time it's being discussed?
Yes.
Okay. Only reason I know about it is because I'm checking religiously now what is on the agenda, trying to be more involved in my local politics. There's no sign. That's been a topic a lot lately. I don't know if it's sign time or not, but,
It's not.
okay, good, because there's still not a sign. I guess my biggest question is, what kind of housing is this going to be? And it seems like we should see how the one that we just approved goes before we give another one a green light. So my question to the developers is, what's the goal here, and what kind of housing are you bringing to my neighborhood? Thank you.
It's a great question. I'm glad you asked. So these lots are not the standard size lots. They are zoned for bigger size lots. So the 85 feet wide, typical area that I've built in that area before is a 50 feet wide lot. And it's 225 feet deep as opposed to the average 150 feet deep. So they're bigger lots. As far as the houses themselves, there will be 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, or 4 to 2-bathroom houses, either with a carport or a garage on each. The houses that will face, there's only 5 houses facing Hewitt. The remainder are off J.W. Davis, with one house being on J.W. Davis and the rest entering into the subdivision off J.W. Davis. So only 5 of the houses will face Hewitt Road. And there will be a setback. I think the requirement is 25 feet. However, we're going to double that to 50 feet in the setback to allow the homeowner to be able to pull in and have an extra turnaround pad or driveway and not have to back into the road. I've lived in this neighborhood. I'm not new to the residents. I grew up on Pine Street, which is also in District 3, at my grandmother's house. A few years later, moved down to 2nd Avenue, which is also in District 3. Then on Phoenix Square, which I lived most of my childhood there. My mom still lives at that residence. So I know the area, and this is a development to help build the community. And actually, it's not going to be, some of the subdivisions that I'm seeing in the house and in that area are low income, elderly, or veterans, or rental houses. They're nice rental complexes. They're fine, but they don't actually benefit the residents of the community. This will be houses that will be listed for sale, not for rent. We're giving opportunities for residents to be able to live and grow and replenish and be fruitful in the community. I grew up, like I said, walking to Hammond Junior High. Back then, the houses were nice, in my opinion. However, when I walk through 2nd Avenue, when I walk through those areas now, they're dilapidated. They're torn down. They need to be rebuilt because nobody's actually putting back in the community to help build it up. So this is us building houses in the community and then giving the homeowners opportunities to develop and, I know, add equity. If you're renting, you're not helping yourselves, you're helping the landlord. I used to be one. If you're living in a mobile home, that's depreciation. This is an opportunity for appreciation.
As my son said, that he's been in that area 67 years, from Pines Creek all the way over to where I'm on Phoenix now. And I've decided to live in that area continually as I get older, but I'll be living also on one of those homes on Hewitt to better my conditions in the home that I'm in now, keep rebuilding and remodeling. So I told my son I want a home over there as well, and we'll be continue fixing up our community because I've been there all my life, and as I've always known me, I'm there to make things better for our community. Thank you.
My name is Nicole Hills, and I am also one of the owners. And I just wanted to piggyback on what they are saying. They will build the community up. They will be designed to increase property value. And having my mom stay in that neighborhood, it is somewhere where I would want my mom to stay. So if it's somewhere where I will allow my parents to stay. I just want to say that, it's going to be something that we would approve of because we would want our family to stay there. Because we grew up in the neighborhood and my mom still lives there, so we wouldn't do anything to damage it. And also, I know that there was a talk of possibly being homes built on the end where the school is. This is on the opposite end, just to clarify. So it's not going to be the same end, if anybody had that question on where it will be built. It's closer to,
Hammond Junior High, yours not.
yes.
Yours close to Fagan Drive.
Yes, sir. It's closer to the opposite side,
Yeah.
just in case you kind of wanted to see where it would be. And they would be more about 1,600 square foot if you had that question as well. And that's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. As of right now, I only had 2 people complaining about it, Ms. Joyce, because you and I talk all the time. Only 2 people complain about it. But other than that, nobody else said nothing different. And so I would really like a better understanding. Mr. Matthews, could you explain that again? Because what Chuck Spangle had said, could you get up and explain that again? Because I'm all over right now.
Typically, when a development comes into the city, there are requirements that the developer has to do, part of which is the engineering of record. They have to do a review, go through the checklist, preliminary plan, go through the checklist, making sure drainage, utilities, building setbacks, number of units, number of lots for the development, making sure that everything conforms with what the city requires. When the developer has reached that juncture, they are at a stage where we could forward the application to the council for introduction and weigh in and get public input. One of the things we would not do if it was something that was extremely wrong with the subdivision, that would prevent the subdivision from being able to be built in accordance to the city requirements, floodplain requirements, things of that nature, we would not advance it to the city council. But in this particular case, there was nothing really earth-shattering that would prevent this application from being forwarded to the council for introduction. The list that the engineer of record put together is a standard list that he put together for any and all applications. You look at that list, and you say, well, don't approve it until these things are done. Well, it was only one item on that list that had not completed, and from my understanding, and from my memory, and I think it was a flood study. Typically, the developers don't spend that money until they've gone through this step. If they feel like the city's not going to approve it, they're not going to spend that money for that flood study. The flood study there's a preliminary flood study that the engineer of record can do themselves. Now, if there was a major problem with flood study, and most of this property, from my understanding, I can't see it close enough, but I think most of it's in the flood zone X, and it's not even a flood zone. So the likelihood of not getting a check on the flood study is very rare, because it's not even in a flood zone. So not being in a flood zone, they meet all the other requirements, plus what the developer stated, those 5 lots on Hewitt, that's a duplication of things that we weighed in on the last development. Because I wanted to make sure that we didn't have cars backing out onto Hewitt Road. So they agreed to set those houses back further, which they doubled the setback. And the lot size is much larger than the standard lot size that's required. And so that gave them opportunity to create circle drives, create turnarounds, and a whole lot of other things to enhance the ability of cars being able to turn around and maneuver without having to back out onto Hewitt Road. So that's the typical process. In the UDC, if you flip in your UDC and go to development and flip to the requirements thereof, it'll give you a whole list. And that's the list of things that the engineer record goes by to review these applications. Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Trent, could you come back up here, please? the reason I'm
Robert
calling.
Penn, I'm sorry.
Sir?
Robert Penn.
Okay, Robert, who is Trent?
I think that's the next,
Okay. All right, Mr. Robert, could you please sit there for the record, for everybody to know exactly why the engineer denied this for right now?
I was told that it was because we needed to do those multiple things that were listed, and by the time we had our meeting before the planning board, all of those were done except the one for the flood study, because we wanted to make sure that it would be approved, initially approved, and then we'll have that completed before the final approval.
Okay,
If we get to that point.
So y'all will have this done within 2 weeks, right?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Councilman Will?
Yeah, and the reason I called Mr. Robert back up here, because I want to make sure it's on the record what's going on with this subdivision. So that's why I did that. Because I don't want it to come back and say, well, you voted for this here, and you didn't say nothing. So thank you so much, Mr. Robert. Oh, I thank you all the time.
All right. Can I get a motion to introduce?
Make a motion to introduce.
Second.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
Introduction number 3.
Introduction of an ordinance to approve a major subdivision by Trent Anthony at 401 J.W. Davis Drive in District 3. Planning and Zoning Commission hearing no opposition, recommends adoption 4-0. Frankie?
This is a major subdivision, and for those of you that don't know, major subdivisions are anything more than 2 acres or 3 lots. So it goes from being a minor to a major. So this one is 7 lots, composed of 7 lots. 3 of the lots are going to be off J.W. Davis, and 4 of the lots will be off Haskins Alley. They have road frontage of 68 feet around, some of them a little bit over 68 feet. I think one of them is a little bit less because of the way the land is subdivided now. They also will be about almost 150, 147 feet deep. So they will not, each of them will have their own private driveway. The gentleman who did this bought the property from the lady that lives next door. So she was apparently felt like what he was going to do would be good. And I think they're going to be lots for houses for sale also. I can ask. It wasn't going to be small houses that he was going to do. I don't remember the exact size, but I think they were going to be 1,400 to 1,600 square feet.
And just to add to what Frankie said, Mr. Anthony had contacted us yesterday, let us know that he would not be able to be present tonight. He had a conflict. Typically, we don't require the property owners to attend the introduction. We do require them to be here for the public hearing to respond to any questions that the public may have.
Okay, so look, I hear no opposition, but it have been. You had people went to that meeting. They got a list going around in District 3 about this, something that they need to talk about more. So,
We have not seen a list or any sort of thing.
so he didn't show y'all the list at all.
We're not aware of it, but if you are, I understand you may be, but. Yeah, there's a list.
Yes, it's a list going on. And so since Mr. Trent is not here, I'd like to put this on the back burner for right now. Because the people in District 3, they want to talk about it. So I'd like to take this off the agenda for right now. Put it on the next,
So you want to table it or
yes,
you remove it?
like to table it.
Second.
Councilman Wells.
Yes, aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
And Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
And 1 minute on this here. I tell everybody, since the Hewitt and Phoenix Square came out, I tell everybody, get with the people in the community. And I'm saying this even with Ms. Joyce. I told Ms. Joyce, get with the people in the community. I don't care who it is. It's not on my street. Get with the people in the community, for they'll know what's going on. And every time I vote according to what the community say. So if the community say yes, I say yes. If the community say no, I'm gonna continue to say no. So I just want to make this here clear that anybody doing any subdivisions, I tell them, you don't have to talk to me. Talk to the people in the community who are going to affect. Thank you.
Resolution number 1.
A resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into a contract with LEI, Inc. for household hazardous waste services in the approximate annual amount of $41,925.19. RFP 26-18, Charles Barsher.
This is for our annual Household Hazardous Waste Recycling Day. We've worked with LEI on several of these in the past. We did do an RFP. We did have inquiries from 2 other companies, including wanting to see the prior years to kind of provide us with a cost estimate, a response, a proposal. In the end, they did not submit proposals, so the only proposal we received was from LEI. So we're asking the council to approve their estimate of $41,925.19 so that we can conduct our hazardous household recycling day in May.
All right. Anyone from the public have any questions or concerns on this item? Anyone from the council? Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Resolution number 2.
A resolution authorizing the purchase of equipment for the new 2026 Dodge Durangos from Dana Safety Supply, Inc. for a total of $52,744.60. Charles Barsher.
So this is to equip the Durangos that were approved for purchase previously by the council. This includes things like light bars and sirens and other equipment that doesn't just come with the patrol unit. You buy the vehicle from Dodge in this case, and then you outfit it with the equipment to make it a patrol vehicle. So we're asking for the council's approval to proceed with the purchase.
Anyone from the public have any questions on this item? Any questions or concerns from anyone from the council?
Yeah, Charles, how many vehicles this for?
I believe this is for, 1 second, 10?
Okay.
I believe that's right. Actually, hold on. It might be 5. I think it's 5. I'm sorry. It's for 5.
Okay, that's it for me.
Okay. Anyone else from the council? I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Divatario.
Does it say 5 anywhere? Well, I'm just kind of curious. I mean, it didn't have a breakdown. It just says the amount. But I mean, I was just wondering why they went in a little more detail on it.
Well, I'm looking at the attachment, and I'm seeing that the minimum quantity on here is 5. There are some items on here that are 10. There are some that are 30, which are all multiples of 5. So it's 5 vehicles, and then some of these items are in duplicate or triplicate.
Aye, yeah.
Councilman Wells.
Abstain.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
Resolution number 3.
A resolution establishing the City of Hammond Emergency Shelter Feasibility Committee to study the implementation of short-term warming and cooling centers operated by volunteer organizations. Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Yes, this item, I don't take credit for being my idea. I had a constituent, Ms. Jean Voorhees, who's here tonight, so I believe she probably would like to address us on this. But given the recent freezes, the city has the Kinney Center, which we've spent money on for generators, and it's been used as a shelter before. So Ms. Voorhees had some thoughts on a lot of faith-based and civic groups in this community who want to see the facility used as a shelter. And so she gave me some thoughts and drafted this resolution. So Ms. Jean, if you would.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate Ms. Carly and all the help she gave me to bring me here. This is kind of the non-legal talk. Carly did a beautiful job of doing it in all the proper legal talk, but this is Jean Voorhees' bullet points. I worked in contract for 9 years, and attest to that. Seems like every year I send her a message saying, it's getting unbelievably cold or just incredibly hot. Can't we do anything to help the people who are living on the edge? And I know that it's an enormous project. I've done a lot of reading on the web about it, and there are many different ways to do it. And I thought, if we're going to get something complicated like that done, you need to start with a real study to see if it's feasible. So what I'm coming to you tonight for is just to see if you will approve appointing an ad hoc committee to study the feasibility of putting together a shelter system like this. And I'll make it right clear, and I have it really clear on there, I'm not asking you all for money. I thought that would be a death wish. So the point would be that we have elements in our community that have a heart for this kind of work. We have a very extensive group of churches that have taken in people under various circumstances. We have nonprofit organizations that have resources. We have buildings, just as an example, the Presbyterian Church has been doing a homeless ministry every Friday, a shower ministry, where they have areas and they have 2 full showers, and the homeless people come in and they get clean clothes and they go and they take a shower and they come out all shiny. You know, we have people in this community who I hope will step up and will work with me or whoever's on the committee to look at all the details, to see if we can put together a good protocol, to find out what the best practices are. There are heating and warming shelters all over the country. My daughter lives in a little town in Wisconsin, and they have like 3 or 4 in their town. Of course, they're all warming shelters because they don't get much heat. But we get both. And that little packet I gave you, the second page of it, I was wondering, how much time are we talking about here? How many really cold days and really hot days do we have? So I went to my trusty web, and you can see on this table, the first part of it is the summer, last summer. These are the statistics. And in July, I just looked at the days 95 or over, and there were 7 days. There were 2 days that were 95. There were 4 days that were 96. There was 1 day that was 97. I don't know, we all pretty much live in air-conditioned bubbles. But if you have ever tried to spend any reasonable amount of time outside when it's about 96 degrees, you'll realize that it's suffocating. And particularly for people who have medical conditions, it can be lethal. So that was in July. Then in August, we had 1 day at 95. I'm not going to read the whole table. We had 1 day at 98. You can't hardly breathe at 98 degrees without any air conditioning. And the more you outside, the more you sweat and the less cooling you get from your sweat. In the winter, and this is the winter from last year into this year, in December of last year, we had 1 day of 31 and 1 of 28. And in January, we went all the way down to 20 degrees. We had 1 day with 20 degrees. And there were 9 days that were below freezing. And in February, we had a day that was 19. Can you imagine being outside when it's 19 degrees and not having any protection? My background has been working with vulnerable people just about all of my life. And between the Youth Service Bureau, and I was the chairman of the Hammond Housing Authority for a while, and I worked with the Samaritan House Shelter, you know, those have been my friends. Those are the people I've spent my life with. And I remember one family when we had a really cold night. It was a mother and 3 small children, and they had one small heater in this house, which is basically one room with no insulation. And she had taken a bed sheet and stapled it in a circle on the ceiling around the heater, this little heater. And they took all of their blankets and their clothes, and they made a mountain on the floor, and they all burrowed into it to try and get warm. And, that's just not right. People should not be living like that. We had one client that was living in an abandoned little self-standing storefront. It was gone out of business years ago. A mother and a little epileptic daughter. And the mother would go every day to the dollar stores and see if they had any bags of chips and snack foods that had expired that they would give to her, and she'd bring them back to her daughter, and they'd sit there with no electricity, no water, sitting on the floor in this place. Now, when it's 19 degrees outside, what are those people going to be doing? They're going to be suffering. And there's some suffering you can't do anything about. But when there is suffering that we can do something about, I think it behooves us to do it. So I'm asking you, just this resolution, I don't know if you had it in advance, if you had a chance to read it, but basically, I'm asking you to authorize the formation of a committee. Just not a committee to establish shelters, but a committee to study the feasibility of doing it. Let me get together with, our churches and our nonprofit groups and our community members and see if we can put together a plan. And if we can, whether we can or not, we'll come back to you when we finished our deliberation. And if we find that we can do it, we'll bring you what we feel is a reasonable operating procedure manual. If we can't do it, we'll come and say thank you ever so much for letting us have a shot at it. I will feel much better if we try, and I hope that you will let us try. Any questions?
I'm going to say thank you, Ms. Jean, for looking into this. I think it'll be a great idea to put a committee together to look into this, because Mother Nature is doing a whole lot of changing. So,
Oh, my.
if we could put something in place, that would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jean. Anyone else from the public have any questions or concerns on this item?
Good afternoon, Council. How y'all doing?
All right.
Stanley Campbell, District 1. This one item that's possibly being introduced here, it's near and dear to me. Initially, I didn't believe that Hammond had a homelessness problem. After some serious time over at our Daily Bread and passing out food at multiple food sites, we do have an issue, and I have a clear understanding of where the hot points are. I've been able to work in it with the people and the population in our community, and I agree wholeheartedly with Ms. Jean that we have an issue that we need to address when it comes down to global warming and homelessness that tie in together. And I hope this council makes a decision to form that committee, and I'd be more than willing to help out with that committee, and just want to say I hope you guys pass it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Anyone from the council have any questions or concerns on this item? I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
All right.
Before we move into our reports, I'm going to go back to our presentations. I invited some students out from Hammond High tonight to acknowledge them for their academics on sports and some of their achievements that they have made for the year. I think we should honor our students, let them know how proud we are of them. But all the different things that are going on and things that they're facing, we still have some that still rise high above the mark. So tonight I wanted to recognize some of our students tonight. My first student I would like to recognize tonight is Asia Sanders. This is a certificate of recognition hereby presented to Asia Sanders, Hammond Magnet School 2025-26 for winning first place in the long jump at state in the track and field. Jalen Jackson. Jalen would have had this award 2 years in a row, but last year he hurt his leg. But certificate of recognition hereby goes to Jalen Jackson, Hammond Magnet School 2025-26. Outstanding athletic performance for securing the title of Louisiana State Champion in the 400-meter event for 2026. Lorraine Kern. Certificate of recognition is hereby presented to Lorraine Kern in recognition of being crowned the 2025 Homecoming Queen, Hammond Magnet School 2025-26. This honor reflects your leadership, school spirit, and the esteem in which you are held by your peers and the school community. All right, Alicia Jenkins. The certificate of achievement hereby presented to Alicia Jenkins in recognition of being elected student council president of Hammond Magnet School for 2025-26. This honor is bestowed and appreciated for your leadership, dedication, commitment to serve the student body and the Hammond Magnet School community. Not only she served as president this year, freshman, sophomore, and being the student council faculty representative, she keeps me in line. Cameron Duncan. Certificate of recognition hereby being presented to Cameron Duncan in recognition and considered the honor of being named Student of the Year. Hammond Magnet School 2025-26. This award has been bestowed and appreciated for your outstanding academic excellence, leadership, and dedicated service to the school community. You can learn a lot from some of the students that I didn't know his first name was Robert. And I was looking it up trying to send him an email to let him know what was going on and couldn't find it. So I had to go sneak to his mama's room one morning to let her know I had a letter for him. But I just wanted to acknowledge them because we have a lot of great things that are going on our campus. And this is just a part of what you see. So whenever you have any time, please make your way out to the campus. Kyle and would love to have you to come through the campus and sit in some of the classes and talk to some of the students because they need that. They need to see you to show them that you do care. So I wanted to let them know that somebody was thinking about them, and I appreciate the job that they're doing in representing our school. time, we're gonna move forward with our last presentation, our last recipient of the Wilbur Dainfield Award. He wasn't with us on, last month when we gave the award. Mr. Perry said that he's always taking trips. So tonight, we're gonna go ahead and acknowledge him. At this time, we're gonna ask Dr. Bazoo to come up, and she's gonna read his bio, and then we'll make a presentation.
Well, good evening. I was trying to battle with the fact of, do I read all of this? You know, all 3 pages? I will, because you know what? He has earned it. Everything in this bio, he stands for it. And so I've been given a distinct honor to introduce to some and present to others Mr. George Edward Perkins Jr., but before he comes, I will read his bio. So I'm gonna have to take my glasses off so I can see it if y'all okay with that. He is, of course, we know, a native of Hammond, Louisiana. He's an honor graduate of the Hammond High Magnet School, now known as the International Baccalaureate School. So it is an honor not only for him, but all of those of us who are tornadoes here. So congratulations, Tornado. Proud graduate, but it's not about me. But yes, following his graduation, he enlisted into the United States Navy and served six years as an interior communications electrician. During his tenure, he achieved the rank of supervisor, overseeing the entirety of the electrical and electronic shops aboard his vessel. Following his military service, Mr. Perkins enrolled at Southeastern Louisiana University, where he graduated with not only honors, but a double major degree, Bachelor's of Arts in Business Management and Marketing, and a minor in economics. Emulating his father, George embraced leadership early in life and was committed to serving others with purpose and integrity. After college, his professional career as a store manager for Walgreens is where he started. He directed operations, supported staff, and assisted clientele daily. Soon, however, he felt drawn back to the work he loved most, helping students pursue their education. As a student worker, George dedicated 4 years to the financial aid office, mastering every division of the department and assisting students with grants, loans, scholarships, work-study programs, and financial aid counseling. He returned to SLU as a financial aid counselor, guiding students toward their academic goals by helping them navigate the many financial pathways. For more than a decade, he educated, supported, and motivated countless students and families. In 1994, George, alongside his father, George Perkins Sr., and their family made local history by becoming the first Black family in the area to own a cable television company. Perkins Cable Television Incorporated served multiple communities in St. Helena Parish for 26 years, areas often overlooked by major cable providers. Their mission was simple: ensure that every community, no matter how rural, received the services and respect it deserved. Guided by a lifelong commitment to giving people second chances, George and his father later established Perkins & Perkins Bail Bonding. After his father's passing, George renamed the business George Perkins Bail Bonding Incorporated in his honor. Through this work, George has helped individuals and families navigate difficult moments, offering counsel, support, and hope. His father also served as president of the Tangipahoa Parish African American Heritage Center and Veterans Archive Museum, which launched the second Saturday breakfast, for which George currently serves as the president of the organization. He expanded this vision, dedicated to pressing forward with the purpose by empowering positive change through community dedication. His commitment to fairness, unity, and community improvement continues to shape the mission of Second Saturday Awareness and Actions Group. A natural-born leader, George has been actively involved in numerous civic and community organizations. Currently, he's serving as the Second Saturday president. He is the president of Brothers Working Together, the vice president of North Shore Regional Academics Fraternity, Collaborative partner with the League of Women Voters to promote education. Collaborative partner with the City of Hammond Clerk of Court and local judiciary on juvenile justice and community-based initiatives. He is a member of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. He's a member of the Tangipahoa Parish African American Heritage Museum and Veteran Archives. He is an active supporter of the Mixon Clayton Foundation, contributing to youth and adult training programs. Member, associate of the Louisiana Bell Underwriters. He's a member of SLU Alumni Chapter. He's a supporter of the Masonic Lodge, and he's a dedicated deacon at the Greater Mount Bethel Missionary Baptist Church. George is married to Parina Robinson Perkins, and together they share a blended family of 6 children. He's also operated a successful nightclub, Characters Lounge, for 3 years. Though it was profitable, he recognized that God had other plans for his life, guiding him towards service, leadership, and community impact. Rooted in faith, driven by purpose, and committed to uplifting others, George Edward Perkins Jr. continues to serve as a dedicated leader, an advocate, change maker throughout Tangipahoa Parish and beyond. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present to you Mr. George Edward Perkins Jr.
Hammond City Council, Wilbur L. Dangerfield Ward of Excellence is presented to George Perkins Jr. for your individual achievements and your commitment to making a positive difference in the Hammond community through your selfless willingness to go the extra mile to improve the quality of life, especially in the African American community. An individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of individualistic concerns to a broader concern of all humanity. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. presented to you would have been on February the 24th, but today, March the 10th, 2026.
All right, Ms. Don, you feel that man married?
I got a husband already.
Your flow.
All I have to say is I appreciate it. Everyone know I'm a talker, so I'm not shy when it comes to the mic. And I definitely appreciate this, and it just shows what what we're trying to do, and the things that I'm doing, our organizations are doing, and the people with the right mindset are doing. It's just all about working together. It's no reward or award needed, nor appreciated, just doing the right thing in life. And God has been good. And when God has been good to you, then you have to be good to others. And God has expectations from all of us to do the right thing, to give back. And I tell them all in our meetings at all times. And a lot of times we have most of the older people that's more mature, and they are there because they want better. They want better for the community. So my words to them is why are you here? You're here because you're doing good. You want better. You want better for your children, your daughters, your grandkids, your cousins that's not doing good, people that you can make better. So, you know, I appreciate everyone that definitely comes to Second Saturday because it's just about the betterment. And I said again, it's about the betterment of all communities. And it's about the betterment of all of us working together. That's all race, creed, and colors. We all should be just one.
That's right.
Just one. And that's what we want to do, touch each other.
Yes.
If you touch each other and you reach out and touch each other, where we all can come together, why we all can't be family? I say again, why we all can't be family? And that's the goal with our organization. It's just bringing everything together. Nobody's asking for no special treatment, just fairness. You know, just fairness. And I appreciate everyone. Let's keep working toward the higher goals. And if you keep God first, you just don't know how good life is going to always be for you. I thank y'all.
All right. Back to our council to report. Report from the mayor's office, Charles.
Just a quick report. As we announced on our Facebook page this morning, we've launched our online utility payment portal. It's back up and running with some improvements. The company that we use to process our online payments was having some issues. They've resolved those. So you can now make your payments online via the portal. The really cool thing about the portal now is that you can see your current bill. You can see your current bill in context with prior billing history. There's even a really handy bar graph that you can use to kind of visualize your billing to see if your billing is going up or going down or is maybe having some issues. So we're pretty excited to have people use that and provide us feedback on how we can continue to improve it. That's all.
Council reports.
Charles, I wanted to follow up with the lights that fell down in Villa West and those posts. Did y'all order replacement?
Yes, the two that came down have been removed. Replacements have been ordered. I just spoke with one of the staff yesterday, so we're waiting for those to come in. They'll be installed. I'm not sure if they've had the opportunity to go through and survey the existing lights to see if any others need to be removed or replaced, but that would be next.
Okay. All right.
They got one thing. Charles, they had a tree that fell on Mooney Avenue about 3 this morning.
Okay, I'm not aware of that, but was it addressed by, was it reported to city?
Oh, yeah, it was a report. It was all cleaned up and stuff. But I just want to say this here. We got another tree in bad shape, 511 J.W. Davis.
Okay, I'll make a note and share that with our street superintendent so we can go take a look.
Okay, and give me an update on the park, Mooney Park, please.
Mooney Park, the foundation for the gazebo should be going in soon. I know it was framed up a couple of days ago, so we should be pouring concrete for that. And then the gazebo will be going in. We got a response to the request for quotes on the pavilions, the picnic pavilions. They're going to go in front of the new basketball facility. So we're reviewing those now, but that order hopefully will be placed soon. Will be coming to the council for approval probably at the next council meeting to make that purchase. We have a plan to put in the sidewalks. We've had some landscaping that was put in recently. We're working on the RFP for the fence that will go around the splash pad so we can get that opened before summer.
Okay, and what the contractors look like on Live Oak? Are they going to be out the way? Because, see, they started on the opposite end. They started on Natchez Street.
Mm-hmm.
They should have started on Mooney Avenue. So what's the outcome with them? How they looking?
I have not been back out there since they were initially laying the stuff out about a week or so ago. We made sure, working with the engineer, Spangler Engineering as the engineer on that project, that their work and our work wouldn't overlap. So Once they complete the drainage improvements, they're going to put in sidewalk along Live Oak, and then we'll be able to complete the installation of the landscaping on Live Oak like we have on Scanlon and Mooney. None of that should impact the fence that's going to go in around the splash pad or the gazebo work or any of the sidewalk work that we're doing interior to the park.
Okay, and I got 6 reports that a four-wheeler been on the basketball court. And I asked you all before about the signs. They're real small, that the park is being monitored, supposed to be monitored by the police department. So can we please put bigger signs out? And let's find out who on that four-wheeler messing up the basketball court, because it don't make sense to use taxpayers' money and 1 or 2 tear the thing up.
Sure.
So I've been saying this, that's why I asked for the cameras first before we add anything to Mooney Park, making sure that we're not messing up nothing in the park, because Sam had an issue in his park and Ms. Gonzalez had an issue in her park, and I don't want no issues in Mooney Park. So let's make sure that we're on top of it, please. That's it for me. Thank you.
Any other reports? Charles, where are we with the rerouting of the Daily Bread?
Spoke with them yesterday. We're trying to coordinate that. One of the issues that they brought to our attention is they have a lot of female volunteers, so we're trying to work with them to coordinate things in the park. We're hoping that we can resolve that soon.
All right. Can you give us a date on it, please?
I would like to see it done by the end of the month so that we can be transitioned to the new route, in April. It's different. Logistics are different when you have to have people in the park who are both directing traffic, communicating back to our Daily Bread. It's not your typical car line because you're basically capturing them in the park and then letting a few vehicles go at a time so you don't create a traffic issue on Coleman. So it's a little more involved than just routing them down a street. We have to coordinate with them. So that's where we are. We're trying to resolve those issues. Those were some of the same issues we heard several months ago when we met with them. So we're trying to resolve that with them. It may be that they're going to require some assistance from city staff, whether it's the streets department or police department, to help direct traffic initially during the initial transition period. As long as the council doesn't have any objections to that, that might be the way to get it moving along faster.
Okay. I don't think that should be a problem because they were already using them when they diverted it to the back street. What was the name of that street?
Edwin Neal, when
Yeah,
they moved it, they used all city personnel to sit out on the road for several days. I don't think it's a problem. So you're saying by the end of the month?
I would like to see it transition by the end of the month. Yeah, that's the goal I've put out there. So we're working on that.
All right. I might ask this one thing with that too, Charles. When you reach out to them tomorrow and see if there's any other thing that's going to be pulled out of the sky, because it seems like every time we get close, something else comes up with it.
The only thing I will say is that they've asked if they could try another alternate route on the street. I told them no. I was very adamant that the council is clear that we need to transition it to the park. The mayor's been clear about it needs to transition to the park. So that's what we're working to do. So hopefully we can come to some agreement on how that's going to happen. Like I said, it may be that we step in and we help direct that traffic for a short period of time until they can figure out the volunteer and communication side of it. But that is what we're working on.
Okay. All right. I have one more comment, then I'll ask for the meeting to be adjourned. We have been making contact with the state police in reference to the materials that we asked them to look into involving with the Bobby McCaskey incident, and we're waiting for a reply back. I know some people have been asking me about it, so I wanted to make a public comment to let you know that we're looking into the situation and waiting on the response to come back from the state. All right.
Thank you, Kip. I got one thing to say. I'm glad you said that. Charles, we had a incident. One of the police officers had clipped somebody. You know anything about it? Yeah, one of the police had hit somebody.
Where did this transpire?
Charles, you don't know nothing about it, huh?
I heard about an incident, I just want to confirm that we're talking about the same incident. So yes, I've heard about an incident where there was a pedestrian in a police vehicle, yes.
Yes, downtown?
Yes,
So we talking about the same thing?
I would assume so.
Yes, we are. So I just wanted to know, you have any updates on that?
I can tell you it's under investigation. That's all I can tell you. As long as it's an active investigation, there's not a whole lot that can be shared with us in the administration that can be shared with the public. But it is being investigated.
Through an outside agency or through Hammond?
I believe it's being investigated by our Internal Affairs Division. I'm not 100% certain on that.
I'm glad you asked that question, Councilman Wells. And I know this is not on our agenda to discuss in a public forum, but I do have a question about that, and I'll ask you that question as soon as we finish this meeting. I forgot to send the email. Thank you, Councilman Wells, for bringing that up.
Well, hopefully it's addressed. I mean, we spent a lot of money on cars and high-tech police equipment and everything else, so we really need to, just like they protect and serve and a police officer, we really need to manage what they're doing as well. I see a lot of things getting out of control. I mean, I see police officers flying with lights on, not lights on through stop signs. I mean, it's really getting out of hand. And we're spending $50-some thousand on equipment, 6, 7 cars, $1 million. Insurance continuing going up. Driving force isn't the grass cutters. I mean, that's the driving force is all the high, expensive equipment and cars and units that need to be managed properly. So, hopefully, something's getting addressed. So.
Any other reports? Can I get a motion to adjourn? Meeting's adjourned.